Yo, what's happening, everybody? We are back again with the Fretboard Confessional podcast, presented by Alamo Music. And we say that why? Not because they sponsor us, but because they employ us. And we happen to be in this old building where they are located. My name is Chris McKee.
My name is Cooper Greenberg.
And, first things first, apologies. We didn't expect, when we came back, that our episodes would be this far apart. But we've been doing some traveling.
We've been all over the world.
And then I got sick. So if you hear, if my voice is a little bit bassier today, that's just because I'm getting over COVID.
Getting over it?
Yeah.
You better be over it.
I tested negative, I promise everybody. But yeah, so I had COVID. We'll get into all of that.
We'll get into all
that. But yeah, we've been kind of some busy cats. Before the trip, we're going to talk about the trip. That's the big discussion on the podcast today. But yeah, following the trip, I got sick, as one tends to do.
You had another trip.
I had another trip, which we'll also talk about. And I got COVID, and I got to quarantine in my RV. And I was complimenting Cooper on the beard game. It's on point. It's getting there, nice and thick. The next expectation now that you're nearing your 30s is your hair will start falling out, and then I will feel better about myself. So but when I emerged from quarantine, my beard and my hair, I had the full horseshoe going.
Nice.
I had I looked homeless.
You should have come back in here looking like that.
Yeah, no, I was like, I want to feel human again. First thing I did was do that and shower. So anyways, enough of that. We let's talk about our trip. Let's contextualize what we're going to be talking about. We went to Europe.
Yes.
We saw some cool stuff. We're going to talk about Furch. You went to Vienna afterwards for a bit.
Hung out in Vienna. You did too.
Yeah.
Pretty cool
Very,
joint.
very short period of time.
Yeah.
And then I went to Paris and had a good time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to beautiful, exotic, sunny Phoenix and Scottsdale in the Zona.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that because that relates to something that happened today. So
yeah. Well, let's do that first.
Let's talk about headlines.
Yeah, let's talk about headlines.
So headlines today, as we're shooting this is the day that Fender released the new Player II series.
2.
We have a video out that Cooper did solo because I was sick. And good guitars.
Good guitars. You've probably seen them by now, but Player series, probably bestseller for Fender.
Yeah.
The most accessible price point that has Fender on the headstock. Updates. Rosewood's back.
Mm-hmm.
Rolled fret edges. New colors. New pickup configurations.
Neck shape's a little different.
Yeah, neck shape's a little different. And probably the coolest thing is bodywoods.
Bodywoods and new hardware. So
hardware.
The classic gear tuners, I think, are really cool.
Yeah.
If you're not familiar with those, they're basically like the F-style tuners, but they are not held on the back with screws. They're held on like a modern tuner is with a nut, which means that the headstocks on these are set up just like the headstocks on like a Pro 2. So if you want to swap out the classic gears to like locking tuners, you can do that. I think that's cool. The colors are not colors Fender's used before, but they're classic car colors from that era.
It's cool.
Which I think is cool. The coral red's really cool. The birch green, the blues. At the event. So the reason I was in Arizona was I was at a Fender dealer event for this launch and some other stuff that I cannot talk about.
Spill it.
No, I can't. I can't do it. I can be bribed though. And they talked about where these colors came from, some old Fords and things like that, which is pretty neat. So the guitars were very, very cool. What you didn't have at launch, you kind of talked about it in our video, was some of the new tone woods. So ash is back.
Yes.
Mahogany is being added.
Mm-hmm.
And ash was something that went away across the line. But outside of I had a Baja that was an ash body. Like the Player series and the Standard before it never had an ash body that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
And so that's new, and they're chambered.
Mm-hmm.
And the mahoganies that are there are chambered as well.
And you said they're super light.
They are so comfortable. So they're not out to the public yet, and they're not launching until October. and the offsets that are in the line, which I'm also excited about. So having a Jazzmaster with actual Jazzmaster pickups, even though it doesn't have the rhythm circuit that hardly anyone uses, that's very cool. And then the Jaguar being in the lineup, I'm excited about. And you just did a video on a custom shop Jaguar.
Yeah, and obviously when I did that video, I was like, I wish Fender would put out an affordable Jag.
But he knew.
I knew.
He knew, people. That's how it works.
And the custom shop is fantastic.
Yeah.
But previously the Jags was like a single coil and humbucker, and it was just never quite Jag vibe. Yeah.
No, I think I pissed some people off at Fender, in fact, because was it a few years ago? They did the Ultra Jag, and it wasn't short scale.
Yeah, it was
and it had
long-scale
humbucky pickups, and I'm like, what the hell is this? This is not a Jaguar.
And then they didn't give us one.
No, they did not give us one. So, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm excited about the Player IIs. I think with a lot of Fender releases, especially the last few years, it's like something really cool that has a bunch of steam at the beginning, and a bunch of people pre-order them and go crazy for them, and then they're limited and they're gone. These are cool because they're just going to be a normal thing in the line, and so it's just a slightly upgraded, in some ways majorly upgraded in other ways, but just a better version of player guitars that are going to be around for the full life cycle of you know, a standard series guitar, which everybody wants rosewood more. The rolled fret edge is everybody's favorite thing about the Pro 2s and all that stuff. So yeah, they're solid. They're good guitars.
Well, and I could talk about some of the other things that are not in stores but are released that I got to see. And we'll be covering these things as they come in. But there's new Squire stuff. Affinities are moving up market. I had a conversation with our guy Blake about that this morning, because traditionally I always thought of like Affinities basically the step above Bullet, and that's kind of changing in the lineup. So there are flame maple top Affinity tellies that were really nice. So those are available for pre-order.
New Jags too, right?
New Jags. Thin line tellies,
Starcaster,
a deluxe Starcaster that goes to a Strat headstock, a big Strat headstock instead of the Starcaster headstock, and has some other upgrades to it. There's a junior Strat, which is bigger than the Mini but smaller than a full size. It's like a 7/8 or 3/4 size
Goldilocks
guitar.
Strat.
The
HSS.
Two of the guitars I really, really dug there's two Paranormal tellies, the Troublemakers. Yeah. And one is gold and the other is black with gold hardware. And they're just killer humbucker tellies. When they did those initially, those went really well in the Fender Paranormal, and now they go on the secondary market at a premium.
There's a lot of weird guitars like that were limited that now, I got a friend of mine that's always looking for like this Squire baritone that they did, and they're like double the price, you know, on reverb and stuff.
Yeah, it's weird how that happens, because sometimes they don't hit initially, and it kind of takes a while, and then people appreciate what they are. So I was excited about those. There's some really cool stuff I can't talk about that I'm really excited about. Some of it surprised me that I was like, I want one of these. Yeah. I'm not going to tell you the specifics. I will tell you it's a Fender acoustic, and I want one. In a weird way, I really, really want one. So
there's a few things like that.
Yeah, if you listen to this podcast, when that guitar comes out, I'm going to repeat that, and then you're going, oh, that's what he was talking about, and you're going to go, I strangely want one too. The one of the things I could talk about that I'm excited about is the new Tone Master. So it's a tweed Bassman Tone Master, and it is killer. It sounds fantastic. It's light, of course, but they've also added an effects loop to it, which is killer. Immediately, my question is, are y'all going to go back and add an effects loop to the other ones? And then I had a really fantastic conversation with some people at Fender about some product development ideas I had that they were very receptive to, like doing a high-end tube amp that's modified with effects loop and maybe gain stages. Like take a deluxe reverb or take a Princeton and do what Boogie did to it, but call it your modified Princeton. People would dig it. Do a head version of a Tone Master. Kind of bridge the gap between a Tone Master Pro and the Tone Masters with cabinets, but you don't need a cabinet.
Tone Master Pro was great when it came out, and I remember it got teased for us. We kind of found out what it was, and it's exciting, but also I think at the time both of us were like, what's the next classic cool big old amp that they're going to do? basement is a good call.
I
there.
did suggest to them that they need to do a brown face like a Toadmaster Vibrolux. I have
Like
no
Justin
idea
Trudeau?
if that will be, no idea if that's going to be on the menu. But if it pops up, I told them to do it. So there you go.
Yeah, I think those would be cool. Now, what about, I think, and cut me off, are you able to talk about some of the specialty things?
Yeah, well, we can talk about Gretch.
Okay, that's what I want.
Yes, those are released and they're available for pre-order on our website. So Gretch is simplifying their professional line.
Yeah.
So previously, everything kind of that was Japanese made kind of sat under this banner of professional series, and you had mixed in their signature models, which is kind of weird because that spans Electromatics and stuff too now. But primarily, you had Players Edition, and then you had Vintage Select. That's going away to where you're going to have Vintage Select, and then instead of Players Edition, that stuff will be Pro.
Which bodes well for the Players Edition White Falcon video that I just shot last week.
Yeah. Well, but it's interesting because one of the first things that's coming out with this new Pro line is a White Falcon, but it's different than the White Falcon you just shot.
What's the deal? Why'd they do that?
I don't know. I don't know why they did that. Turned it into a single cut instead of a double cut. But part of the change is that on these Pro instruments, they're getting rid of the G numbers, which, we've kind of made fun of them. I think a lot of people have teased them. I mean, for the vintage stuff and historic, it makes sense because that's what was the thing. But, we've kind of said it's not very memorable.
Yeah.
The G6355 TMQ or whatever is just not a great way of marketing a guitar. So they're getting rid of that. And you're just going to have like White Falcon, Black Falcon. There's this really cool blue finish on the Falcon. So the first lines getting affected by it are the Falcon, the Nashville, and was it the Country Gentleman, I believe?
Yeah, something like that.
So we've got those on order coming in. And in addition to the nomenclature changes, they've got new pickups and they've got new bracing. And I've requested
V-Class.
I was told that I would get kind of a cutout of this, cool. That when we get the guitars in, we can show you guys. But to describe it, the bracing, instead of being these long spruce braces with these kind of wide cleats for stuff to mount to, the cleats are still spruce, but the long part of the bracing is torrefied maple. Cool. And what's cool about that is it's obviously, because it's torrefied or roasted, really, you can look in the body, you can obviously see the dark color. It's stronger, and it creates a different tonal sound.
Yeah.
There's more mid-range pop in these guitars, both from the bracing and the new pickups that they've done. And that is designed to really appeal to pro players. And I had a conversation with one of the higher ups at Gretch, and it reminded me of what they did with the Nigel. The hand-off guitar. And I heard something, I don't know if I should repeat this, but if you say something to me, I might. That part of the development of that was trying to bring it in some ways closer to the PRS that he had played.
Yeah.
Not a full-on PAF sound, but needing a bit more mid-range grunt and power, in addition to some of the changes they did, like lowering the neck into the body. And I think that's why I love that guitar so much.
Yeah.
It's like, it's Gretch, but it's got these other elements in it. And so that kind of stuff is a big request from people that play professionally, along with the string through Bigsby, because who needs three hands to do a string change, and locking tuners and that kind of thing. So all of that stuff is still going to be part of the Pro Series with these new revised pickups that have a little bit more mid-range output and a simplified nomenclature and new bracing and stuff. So
yeah, it's going to be cool. I'm excited for those. I loved that Falcon that I played the other day.
Falcons are cool.
Blew my mind. So,
the other cool thing for Falcons in particular, they have the sparkle binding.
Mm-hmm.
On dark stages, seeing your dots can be a little difficult with that binding. All of the Pro stuff have lumile or whatever, glow in the dark.
Labule.
Labule. Yeah. So
we're gonna steal the Declaration of Independence.
I saw that Statue of Liberty actually while I was in Paris. I didn't go up there with a drone and take photos of what was on the torch though. So
you should have done it, dude.
I guess I'm missing out on that treasure. So anyway, so the glow in the dark dots are on the sides, which is pretty cool.
glow-in-the-dark dots, that means David was forward-thinking when he wanted to add those on his custom shop.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, that sounded like a very cool trip. So there was, Fender and then specialty stuff. Also custom shop event.
Yes.
That I was bummed that I didn't get to go to. But
Matt was bummed that you weren't there.
I know. That's my guy. I also played a show opening for a guy named Corey Cross the other day here in town. He's a good musician. If you like honky tonk tunes, just put an album out. And we opened up for him. And then I saw that Matt is jumping on for all the California dates with Corey.
Oh, look at that.
Worlds collide.
That's cool.
But yeah, so there's one. Well, you got 2 guitars, one of which was already spoken for. Great timing. But there's another one.
Love that.
That will be coming soon. Purple Sparkle 69 Strat.
Mm-hmm. Big head stock.
That's the least Chris McKee guitar I've ever heard of. So tell me the thoughts behind why you fell in love with it.
My wife's favorite color is purple.
So it's selfish.
A little bit. Purple guitars always kind of pop out to me because of that. I'm also colorblind, so I thought it was blue. No, I'm just kidding.
Shows up at the docks. What is that?
No, they had some sparkle finishes there, and some of them I didn't really like. Like they had some where it was a sparkle finish. You know how they'll do the paint over stuff?
Yeah.
Right? The multicolor, and it like wears through and you can see the undercolor. In this case, the undercolor were sparkle finishes, and I was like, to me, it just didn't work.
It's like
I didn't bid on any of those. A geode guitar. There were a few things. There were some hardtail strats, and some of the guys from Fender were like, "How come no one's bidding on these?" I'm like, "Because they're hardtails." And I'm like,
hardtail guys like hardtail strats.
I know, but the number of guys who buy custom shop strats that are hardtails, like pretty minuscule. So, but they had some really cool stuff. They had some really great master built stuff that we missed out on.
Yeah.
That I was a little bummed at, but I was glad we got the 2 that we did. When you do those events, you can order some, and I ordered some specifically for Mr. Cooper. Some double bound tellies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
that's good for me.
Double bound black, and then there's a double bound like forest green or British racing green or something that we ordered.
That's cool.
Yeah, I say we in the royal sense, but it was me.
Yeah, that's good for me.
What else? I ordered a few cool things to get the Marauder. They also had, so I should say this because this was cool. We are not currently an EVH dealer, but for the first time, they had custom shop EVH stuff. Now they were very like fresh out off the printing, press kind of things. Yeah. But it's something that new that they're offering because you could get from this Fender specialty like high performance stuff. Charvel and Jackson's been a thing.
Yeah.
But EVH custom shop has not been a thing. So that was new. You might start seeing those start to pop up in places.
Did you see that EVH painted Cybertruck?
I did see that. Yeah. I saw a great joke about it too, and I'm trying to remember what it was.
It was like the final boss of something that might offend somebody. I don't know. But that's actually my car. So you had a good Fender trip. That was a quick one. You spent a lot more time in Europe.
Yeah, the Fender's where I caught COVID, by the way. So
we didn't catch COVID in Czech Republic. We caught a bunch of good times.
Yes.
So I want to...
real quick, before we talk about that, just one other headline I wanted to throw out. As a follow-up to our last podcast,
yeah,
Sam Ash has been purchased.
Yeah, but we shall see. At what cost?
So it's kind of weird because it's a company out of Mexico. No one expected this company of all companies to kind of buy them. It was
Goner.
They're closing all the stores. It's going to be online only, and their warehouses. The Ash family's out of it. And there was an interesting article that I saw today in one of the industry magazines that we have, where they interviewed, I think it was David Ash. And he basically said he just blamed e-commerce. He said, moving to e-commerce and the pandemic moving everyone to buying online and them not adapting to closing underperforming stores is really what did them in. Kind of like we said. So,
have you ever heard of this Shamel Ash? Sham Ash.
There you go.
There we go.
So, anyways, that's the quick update on Sam Ash. We'll see what happens. They're going to be like Tiger Direct.
We shall see how that goes. We'll check in. We'll do a monthly Sam Ash update. See what's going on here.
We'll let you know when our Sam Ash turns into a Michaels or a Joann's Fabrics. Right, Josh? Joann's Fabrics?
Well, I mean, aren't
Previous
they?
life
Are
of
they
Josh.
going through August?
Who knows? I think they're going to. I mean, I've been in there. You've been in there. There's nothing in there.
Yeah, but they keep getting inventory from other locations. So hopefully they go through August, and then September 1st, the lease becomes available. Perfect timing. Spirit Halloween.
Spirit Halloween. That's what it's going to be.
Where you can dress up as Sweetwater, the scariest villain of them all.
Oh, I heard some things about Sweetwater on my trip. I can't really talk about it.
I've heard a lot of things about Sweetwater, and one of which is they give you Laffy Taffy.
They give you candy.
Yeah.
Like my grandmother, who had chairs just like this, by the way. These nice floral pattern chairs.
So, Czech Republic.
Mm-hmm.
Furch is cool.
The Czech Republic is cool.
Czech Republic was very, very cool, and like the best hospitality I've ever gotten anywhere ever.
So
they hooked us up.
We made quick friends with another American, Chris.
Yeah,
much taller Chris.
Chris with a K.
With a K.
Yeah.
And he had one of the best descriptions for the Czech Republic. It's as a country going to your grandmother's house and she thinks you haven't eaten enough. That's the level of hospitality and like food and stuff that we experienced in the Czech Republic. Everyone was gracious, great. They seem to like America.
So nice.
Chris called them Little America.
Yeah.
They have pretty liberal gun laws for a European country. You can get a concealed carry license, FYI. You didn't visit much of the city.
Just a couple walkthroughs like from the hotel.
So there's a CZ outlet not far off of the main kind of center of downtown where you can go buy and ship back to the States a CZ gun. They had some really nice things. So that was interesting. Saw some Jeep Wranglers and a very cool Camaro and listened to some cool bluegrass music. So we can talk about that. But I loved Brno and all the people we encountered.
Yeah. So Furch backstage event. Furch.
Petra's going to be really disappointed that we can't.
Furch. We went to the Furch backstage event. Yearly event. Bunch of people from all over the world.
Yeah, all over the world.
All over the world. So we spent some time with some distributors from France that were really, really nice. Obviously, we spent time with Petr and Jana and, of the family and some other Americans. And everybody was pumped to be there.
Yeah.
And the stuff that we saw at the event, first of all, the factory is very cool, very small. So I mentioned this in a video that I did on some of the rainbows, but it's like all the technology you expect from someone like a Taylor or Martin, all that handwork and family-oriented sort of thing that you expect from like a Santa Cruz or Collings. It's like this beautiful marriage of high-tech and old school in a very small place. And the guitars that we got to play were awesome.
They were awesome.
Yeah.
So I do want to give a shout out to everybody from Furch, Peter, Petra, however, Jana, they were great. Jan.
Jan's the man. He'll get you what you need.
For taking us to the wine cellar.
Yeah.
Awesome. Bob and his Camaro are legendary. Aaron from Down Under in the Czech Republic.
Yes.
Really cool. Martin. They were all, I'm forgetting people. They were all fantastic.
Everybody was awesome. So,
and Mark Harris and Roger from Furch USA for getting us there.
They're the guys. So it was cool because it was like kind of like a NAMM type presentation.
Yeah.
There was new product and there was also customs and there was also just celebration of the brand and the type
and
of
the people
and the vibe. But I don't know are we able to talk about some of the new models?
Yeah. Yeah, I asked Mark. There's no embargo.
Okay. So easy, quick stuff. It's cool that Blackwood is available. Those are great looking guitars. We have yellows and reds coming in with blackwood back and sides, Malaysian blackwood. Their sort of version of a kind of sound port type thing is really different and cool, and I think probably aesthetically more pleasing to a lot of people than a big hole up here,
right.
you know. But the big thing is the neck.
Yeah.
You got to explain the neck a little bit.
So, let's talk about how we got there. So, at the backstage
on a
event,
plane.
Yeah, we rode a boat. No, at the backstage event, it was great. They gave us a tour of the factory first with Jerry, who has been there since the 80s. Yeah. And as a reminder, Furch started in 81 illegally because they were behind the Iron Curtain, Soviet rule and oppression. One of the reasons I think they love America so much is because they hate what was going on during the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
That, I think, has shaped a lot about the personality of the company. Yeah. And I'll get more into that a little bit later. But, in 89, they could become a company officially after the Velvet Revolution. And Jerry's been there kind of, for a long, long time. So it was cool to have him as the first host of our tour and took us through the factory. I have to say, to the point about technology, they are doing stuff that I haven't seen other companies do. Now, some of it I've seen, like the CNC machines and stuff. Yeah. And Peter's been great about talking about, he was kind of chasing that technological slant that Taylor has, of embracing these things for consistency and improvement of build quality and so forth. But they've taken that a little bit further. They have robotic arms sanding necks. I haven't seen that happen anywhere. Yeah. And calculating how many rotations on the sandpaper so that it gives you an alarm and you know when to change it. And this is all just the rough finishing and then getting to someone to do the fine detail work. And we kept seeing that. So you had their craftspeople, doing the final stuff or the things that you couldn't have a machine do. Yeah. But, one thing that stuck out to me was very recently on Instagram, Taylor posted a thing where they had one of their guys going through with a bit, routing the edge of the guitar for binding. And Furch is doing that through an automated process, specifically so that it knows where the orientation of the grain is and will rotate the fixture and the jig so that it doesn't have tear out. Yeah, which can happen when you're using a rotary bit on a piece of wood. Yeah. And so I thought that when we saw that, it kind of took me back because I haven't seen anyone do that before.
It was cool too with all these different kind of modern building technology like robotics. They also made sure to mention they didn't fire anybody when they brought this stuff in. Yeah. It didn't take anybody else's job. They moved on to more, I guess, skilled work and
more skilled work, more detailed work. Yeah. And they have, I think they said 76 employees total, and so that's people that are shipping, people that are, handling finance and marketing, and all that stuff. I know 3 of them are in marketing specifically. Yeah. Aaron, for instance, handles all of the distribution to an English-speaking country, not the U.S. Yeah. Which I loved is Canada, but also Singapore and Scotland and Australia. Yeah. So they have. So I don't know how many of the staff are building, but I figure it's probably maybe half. Of the staff. So it's not a very large outfit. And let's talk about where it is. So 14 minutes south of Brno, in this little village of 1,200 people. That's Velké Němčí, I think is how it's pronounced.
I'm not even going to try on that one.
Which translates to Big German.
Really?
Yes, for whatever reason. So at the edge of this little town, around farmland, is a mill that they've converted to a guitar factory. And Jerry said that the foundations date back 500 years. They had the old millstone there and the old gear for the mill. And it's in this picturesque area. Yeah. And they build guitars. And I was just like,
so cool.
This seems pretty nice, guys. Like
when about 8:00 that night, when the wine and the snacks had been flowing for quite a bit, my wife and I were like, we got to go take a walk, get some fresh air. We just walked around the neighborhood, and there's like cherry trees and everything. Just like it looked unreal. It was like Duloc from Shrek. but in a good way.
Candy and I took a walk too, and we walked down this kind of farm road, and ended up at like this little like Pee Wee Sports complex and stuff. And again, it was a mill, so like the river's flowing back there. I'm just like,
and there was also, you know, a 2-minute walk away, a family-run winemaking business that Chris, Candy, Devin, and myself were brought down to and tasted 15 wines in 20 minutes.
Straight from the cask.
And we drank quite a bit.
And you bought a bottle.
I did buy a bottle.
For €4.
€4. And it was great. And it wasn't a pre-bottled thing. It was straight out of the cask into a bottle and corked.
Did you get the Cabernet Moravia, that last one we had?
Yeah, I did. That was good. Delicious. Yeah, that was great. So, I mean, we'll talk about food, but back to the guitars.
So that's the context for where this factory is and what it's like, and it's pretty awesome. So we did the tour. At the end of the tour, Peter took over. Yeah, he's CEO of Furch. He is the son of František, the founder, and has really, and he's the owner of Furch. He's purchased. I think he has like a little over 60%. His dad has the rest. And you know, he told me this was a discussion that they had, and it was really about his attempts to modernize it and being able to make the decisions to do some of these things, and really do what we've talked about, which is bringing this company, this small European guitar manufacturer, relative to these other guitar companies, to a place where they are executing at such a high level. Yeah. And he did the second half, and part of that was walking to kind of a visitor center that they've got, where they've got some of the old Furch guitars that go back to the very first one that František made.
Yeah, there's an Ovation.
Yeah, they were Ovation style, round back, but he was like, these were done not with Lyricord, but like hand laid fiberglass. They're pretty heavy, and I didn't realize he was a banjo player. Yeah, and bluegrass is huge. It was like their protest music against the Soviet Union, American bluegrass. And so that was the need for instruments. Yeah. So he was building, we saw some Furch electric guitars and kind of like...
There's a double neck.
Double necks, resonators, banjo stuff. It was very, very cool. Peter showed us some of their R&D stuff, which we've got video of, where they're... And other people have done this, but it's basically taking an unbraced top, applying a frequency to it, and watching as molecules of whatever, in this case he was using cream of wheat, a very fine thing, he said tea works well too, to align itself so you could see how the top's responding, and then accordingly you can brace along these lines to facilitate and focus on specific frequencies. So that was really cool. And then he showed us some of the new limited edition models. And the first thing we saw was this new sound port thing. Yeah. And so the idea was, on their dreadnoughts, they wanted more. Yeah. And the limitation was the sound hole. And this isn't new. We've seen companies make larger sound hole, like the Tony Rice models and stuff. Yeah. It's usually a larger sound hole. You can tell because the fretboard hangs off and stuff. Furch's solution to this was instead to create a sound port, but not. Yeah. They've basically created these slits in the top shoulder of the guitar that allows it to breathe more. And you could tell if you covered it and you strummed it versus you uncovered it, it breathes better.
I just like it because it's not a super obtrusive,
it's very subtle
looking thing. If you weren't, I mean, you'll notice it, but it's not like a Generation collection. Right. And on the other side, it's different than a sound port cutaway. It's its own thing. I think it's
not a hole. Yeah, really, it's just these
holes.
Yeah, these slits that facilitate the guitar breathing more, and able to, I guess, resonate as a result of that. And so they've done this with these dreadnoughts. They're also doing, on these limited editions, dreadnoughts get the bevel duo.
Bevel duo.
Not duo bevel.
Not duo bevel.
Bevel duo.
The bevel duo.
For the first time. So that's really cool. And then this new neck joint.
The new neck joint. So you explain it, because there's a certain technical aspect of this that I understand. I may not have the right terminology for.
I geeked out a lot.
I know. I watched it happen.
Yeah. and afterwards, I kind of went back to Peter. I was like, I have questions. He's like, okay, give me a minute.
Yeah.
Because he wanted he was so great about really giving us his time and
he's awesome. First night of dinner, we got to hang out with him all night
long. Such a cool guy.
Yeah, you give the neck update.
So I want to say this. So he and his dad, he told me that his dad originally had this idea about how to do this, and that they went through a few things, and he wanted to simplify it because the simpler it is, the less likely it is to break, and it'll function correctly. And we've got video of him kind of talking about this. It was neat how he did it. So Furch guitars up to this point, this Red Deluxe that I'm holding, if you're watching this on video, if you're listening to the audio, you can't see it obviously, but they're bolted on, and much like a Taylor, there's an extension under the fingerboard so that the fingerboard is part of the neck all the way through, so you're not going to get a weird hump at the 14th fret. It's bolted on through that CNR neck reinforcement that they have, which the truss rod runs through. And in this case, 2 bolts hold it on. And they showed a video of one of their guys in their service area. I guess he was head of service.
Yeah.
Resetting the neck. And it took about 26 minutes for him to do it in their environment, being used to their stuff. Unbolt the neck, take it off, make these adjustments, put it back on, check it, and it's good to go. Their new neck joint, spoiler alert, you can do it in about 10 seconds.
They claim it's the neck that will never need a reset.
Effectively. So I'm going to try to describe for those who are listening. I have a photo that we can try to put on the video for you of the prototype. The production one's a little bit different, but effectively, here's what's going on. The top bolt is no longer holding on the neck. It's there as kind of a locator during production. And as the neck is put on, a piece of wood is glued from under the fingerboard to the top brace that's just above the sound hole. That effectively holds the neck on. And then the bottom part of the heel has an elongated bolt that's going through a wooden dowel with a washer on the end of it. And this wooden dowel is spruce. And I noticed and asked Peter about the orientation of the grain.
Yeah.
It's cut along the grain orientation that swells or moves the most with humidity. So the first part of this presentation was, if the guitar top swells with humidity, this part swells with humidity. And as it swells, that's going to pull the bottom part of the heel into the guitar and bring the neck back as the top swells to compensate for the humidity change.
Yeah.
And if the humidity causes the top to lower, then that dowel is going to shrink, and it's going to allow the heel to come out a little bit, and that's going to bring up a less shallow neck angle to compensate for the dropping top and compensate for the change of humidity. So humidity is still important. You still have to watch your humidity. You don't want to crack a top it or everything, but you've probably experienced, I have, you take a guitar out, you're playing it, and it just, if it's wintertime or whatever, changes are going to occur.
Yeah.
This is compensating for that. Now, I did ask him, I said, torfied spruce, cedar, rosewood tops, they're going to respond differently. And he said, yeah, it's not 100%. It gets pretty close.
Yeah.
But that's why it's also user adjustable. And he adjusted it for us within 10 seconds.
Yeah, as well.
And this is what gets me. They're encouraging people to mess with it. I want you to compare that to the fact that Taylor and Martin and a lot of other companies have stopped shipping truss rod wrenches with their guitars because they don't want you messing with a truss rod. They want you to mess with this. And with a driver and an elbow and I think it was an Allen key, you can get in there and you can adjust it and change it. You cannot tell from the outside that this guitar is any different. So there's not a radical change to the heel or the visuals of it. I did confirm with him that they're using a Stay Soft filler, just like Taylor does, but it's kind of on the sides of the guitar rather than on the heel, so that the heel comes back and forth. It doesn't get pulled out or anything. And it's so precise, I have a photo of the heel, I couldn't really see, this gap. And they didn't weigh anymore. The CNR has been redone. It's lighter. And we played guitars with it, and they sounded phenomenal.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
So they're rolling it out on a limited edition model that we got a couple of.
Yeah.
But I think they're planning on putting it into everything.
It's going to be in everything. Yeah. So as we were going through, I was noticing the guitars. You could kind of tell which guitars were going to have it as they were going through production. The other thing I want to say about it is, I asked him, I said, so is this kind of idiot proof? And he said, they completely loosened it and left it like that, you know, in their testing. He actually wanted to introduce this about a year ago, and they decided to wait a little longer.
Yeah.
So they've had this ready to go. With it completely loosened, your action was terrible. The neck doesn't come off.
Yeah. That's
it's a secure and fairly simple. And, the thing is, when I looked at it, I think this is the thing that ticked me off a lot. It's kind of a duh moment. And, you've been to the Martin factory. There are guitars, some of the oldest Martins had keyed neck angle adjustment, where you could kind of stick a key in there and you could adjust the neck angle on a really, really old Martin guitar. And so it is just kind of a frustrating thing to think all these years later, nobody's done this. I think Taylor, up to this point, has gotten the closest when it comes to having this easily adjustable neck angle. But this is easier than that you could literally do at home.
Yeah, Taylor neck adjustment still isn't like a do-it-at-home kind of thing.
No, you have to have the shims, and you have to really know what you're doing.
It takes Casey a while to do it, and you need to know what's going on.
Yeah.
This, I think, will be really cool for people that are interested in knowing how to work on their own guitar. It's an easy way to get into that, and the limited edition model that they dropped with it is very cool too.
It's very cool. And, and their existing neck was already phenomenal.
Yeah.
The one that's on this guitar to my left that I almost dropped. No, I mean, the neck on this is, I have Taylors with the old style bolt-on neck. You can adjust this, if you know what you're doing, in less than a half an hour. And it's really sturdy and, sounds great. So it's not like you shouldn't get one with the new stuff coming out, but I'd love to see the continuing innovation.
Yeah.
And it's a really smart design.
Yeah, I think some people will want to wait and get one with the new neck design. Some people will want the older one and want to wait a little while to see if the new neck design is received well. Either way, it's cool to see a company like this doing something new.
Here's a change. So if you're watching, or if you've seen a Furch, inside on the current models, there is a wood plaque on the back that has the Furch logo carved into it. Because of the placement of the adjustment, that will no longer be the case, because the model label, which was up on the neck heel, is now moving to that spot. So they have a new label. So if you see a Furch and it's got this new paper label on the back, on the inside through the sound hole, then that's one of the new models as a telltale sign. So
a lot of cool new product. Mm-hmm. New sound port, new neck system, nice new tone woods. Everything was really cool to see. It was nice seeing, the whole presentation. Then we moved into the Rainbow Room.
Yes.
And there's some really, really cool stuff that we picked up. It was similar to Catch Event. Less of a scary, like we may or may not get this one. It was just like, tell us what you want.
Yep.
They had 10 guitars. I think we picked 4 or 5.
I think that's 6.
Maybe 7, 8. Either way.
Who knows, Zach?
Really cool
we'll
stuff.
see when they come
who's
in.
to say?
It's fine.
But I did talk in a video that I did with the Rainbows that we do have right now about their access to tone woods. So if you don't know this, Madagascar's out. Pretty much, Martin was the biggest user of Madagascar on Authentics and custom shops. Mm-hmm. They can't get it anymore. They don't use it anymore. Everything's Guatemalan. We got a very, very cool Madagascar Furch Dreadnought. Ebony stuff, great looking sinker tops, great looking Koa. I think just that. There was a sinker top ebony back and sides. That's
similar to my custom
Chris
Taylor
combo.
Yep.
So we're going to see some really cool stuff coming in, not just the new standard line things, but some rainbows. And of course, we got a bunch of good ideas to then do our own special runs. So guitar-wise, fruitful trip.
Yeah.
Food-wise, even more fruitful.
Okay, so I got to start. So I got there before you. I landed early, and I'm so glad I did because jet lag was horrible.
Yeah.
And that's when I got to spend some time in Vienna, Café Bruxelles, some Wiener Schnitzel, seeing some of the city was cool. Ate at Wolfgang Puck's, which, by the way, I gotta say, Wolfgang Puck's is in the in the Vienna airport. As soon as you come out of the arrivals area, and I initially, Candy was like, "Let's go eat there," and I was like, "Yeah, come on, a celebrity chef restaurant in a airport." No, it's really good.
It was good.
I looked up the reviews, and everyone was like, "No, it really is like a legit restaurant. It just happens to be in the airport."
And we got in really early, so we hung out there for hours, and they make a good Bloody Mary. I'll tell you that.
The food is phenomenal.
Food was
I had a
good.
salmon ravioli that was on their current specials list. What was in season. It was really good. And so I got to see a little bit of Brno because Yana and Chris drove Mark and Candy and I, and oh my gosh, I'm spacing on his name. Really cool sales guy for Furch that's on the East Coast, he and his wife. And it will come back to me later. So we drove.
Was it Eric?
No.
Was it Jimmy?
No. We drove from there to Brno in a nice Volkswagen van and just enjoyed the countryside and the church and on the island in the middle of a lake and all of that stuff. And I got to visit some of Brno, go into the second largest ossuary in Europe. So walls that are made of femurs and skulls.
The
and that kind of
bones
stuff.
are their money.
Yeah. Got to go to the cabbage market and the Church of St. Peter and Paul and go see their atomic clock, the big black phallic-looking thing in their square. And if you want to know how to tell the time, you walk up to it and you observe what it's doing, and then you look at your watch, and you'll know what time it is. Because nobody could tell me how it works. But it does spit out a marble
like a sundial
every morning at 9. No, it's got these rotations, but I don't get it. No one gets it. So
who's to say?
I saw the dragon of Brno, and I asked Yana about the dragon. They're very protective of their dragon. So you should Google the dragon of Brno, BRNO. Very cool city. So I will just say this. The Czech Republic, I don't think, is on very many people's destination lists for Europe. Put it on your destination list for Europe. Brno is an hour and a half away from Vienna. You can fly in Vienna. You can drive over there.
Worth it.
It is definitely worth it. I also want to visit Prague. Everyone's told me how beautiful Prague is. But Brno is smaller. It's only 400,000 people. It's quirky. It's beautiful. Yeah. They got random samurais just sitting on rooftops.
Yeah. Vienna for music lovers.
Yeah.
For parks and museum lovers. Yeah. Incredible. Food was great. At the Furch Factory, we walked in, and the first question we heard was, "Y'all want some trout?"
Seriously. So this was not just at the factory, because we ate.
Well, before
we had a few places,
yeah.
And in the city, and it literally was just more food. You haven't eaten. You look skinny. Here more food, and I was like, oh my gosh! And it was all amazing food.
It was great.
By the way, I learned something. This is completely. Remember we drove by the university.
Yeah.
That's in Brno.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned this. If you want to go to the Czech Republic, anyone who's listening, and you want to take some classes at university, if you take Czech language classes that are in Czech language, it's free. If you want to take English language classes, your semester will cost you $2,500.
It's very interesting.
Not bad. Yeah.
That's very interesting.
They had a music school there that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Saw people coming in and out. But yeah, all the food was like that. Our reception we had at a restaurant that I'd eaten at the previous night with some of the people that were there early.
Yeah.
And phenomenal food.
Phenomenal beer.
So well. I found this out. We had a question about some drinking habits while we were there. And I Googled it and shared with Devin and Cooper. According to Wikipedia, the Czech Republic drinks more beer than any other country in the world. I can confirm. And it's all very, very good.
I spent a month there one night. Yeah. the beer was great. The croquettes were great. Snacks, all good stuff. Then the beer tasting.
Yeah.
And then checking in the hotel, champagne, breakfast, insane, factory. Just nonstop food. Nonstop food. And then after the tour, hookah and hot tea and more champagne and beef tartare and burgers
And ice cream. And
ice cream.
So
Tiki drinks.
Candy, my wife, has done event planning in the past.
Yeah.
And here's one of the comments she made. She said, in the United States, here's how catering goes. You need how many plates? 25 plates? Okay, you'll get 25 plates exactly. There won't be any more.
Yeah.
You know, or if you want 45 plates, you'll pay for 45 plates. And if you only use 30, you're paying for 45 plates or whatever.
Yeah.
Let me tell you how it was at the factory. We got there and they had a stage set up that, interestingly enough, said Velké, Nimchi, and Nashville country music. So cool. Some great bands performed. I was super impressed.
Yeah.
And then they had these tents for all of these companies that were cooking. And like you said, here is some trout and some green beans.
Green beans.
And then here's some
fire roasted pork tenderloin.
Here's some chicken schnitzel. We're going to call it nuggets. Only if, like, really, it should have been like bars. They were like giant chunks of chicken.
Yeah. Everything was great. Everybody was having fun. Everybody from the factory then brought their families at the end of the day. Bands playing. Drinks are flowing. Just fun times.
Jan and Yana were, from my understanding, the two primary point people.
Yeah.
The whole thing had a lot of people, helping, but Yana was really stressed out at times, and I told her they just did an amazing job.
Yeah,
everyone was having a good time.
A great time. Yeah, it was awesome. A very, very cool trip. And it just got me excited that we're like a partner with this company. That, like, I feel like we've already had like a good vibe with them, but it just got me so excited to have, get deeper into knowing about the company, get deeper into the guitars themselves, and stock a wider spread because they have so many cool things that, So, yeah, it was a great time. I think everybody that works there was just so talented at what they did, but just the vibe and everything. It was just great. I'm really excited for the new product and for what we can potentially do, like me and you come up with, to kind of show off our style and what we like through this lens.
I have to finalize my custom order because
but you can't broadcast it.
No, I can't. But I did ask for some things and I got approval, so we'll see. I got to finish putting that together. No, everyone was great. The food was great. There was something that Mark said. I think it was either Mark or Roger, because I made a comment of just about how crazy, the amount of like food and everything. Oh, the other cool thing that we should talk about is at one point, Jiri, who did our tour, showed back up at the event in like lederhosen and like traditional folk attire. Yeah. And he was part of a group that was singing like traditional Czech music. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, the music was great.
The steak was great. Again, the food was just amazing. But it was either Roger or Mark, or maybe it was Chris. One of them told me that because of how Furch started and because of everything that the Czech people went through under Soviet rule in that brutal socialist environment, that he is over the top with his generosity.
Yeah.
To show appreciation to their employees and everyone that they work with, because they know what they suffered under.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty cool. I made note there were some really cool old photos and kind of their welcome area that showed some past company parties. And it seems much smaller company, similar vibe of just, more than taking care of everybody, which was cool.
Yeah, they're great people, great guitars. Not the kind of company that's gonna, close down all the dealers, go direct.
No,
probably
no.
Yeah, I'm happy to be working with them. I'm happy that we finally get to let it out, all of this stuff, because you haven't been here to talk.
I know, I haven't been here. Appreciate you holding down the fort on the channel.
You know it. So before we wrap up, I want you to give me 3 guitars that we haven't mentioned today. No Fender Player IIs, no new Gretch, no new Furch, that you are hyped about in the store that may not be getting enough attention right now.
3 guitars other than the ones that we've mentioned that I am hyped about. Okay. So I continually come back to some of those Eggle guitars that we have. We had a guy who is a fan of the channel. He was in the store the other day, and I was showing him some of these guitars, and they're just so impressive.
Yeah.
We have
still the best necks in town.
They are. I think they're the best necks on any electric guitar, period. So I'm excited about those, particularly that kind of white Oz that we have in.
Yeah.
And we have one semi-hollow Macon left. That is just, I adore that guitar. It's amazing. So I'm just going to count that as one. The Santa Cruz that we have, I adore.
It may be gone by the time we are finished with this, but we still have it as right now.
We had a really cool Furch. We're not talking about Furch, right? We had a really nice rainbow Alcoa Furch that may be spoken for by Jack Dalton is all I'm going to say. And if you want to do the research on that, you can figure it out yourself. That scoundrel. Anyways.
Eggle. Santa Cruz.
And I think it's kind of a sleeper. I really love and keep playing our deep audio 18s. I really like those.
Those are sweet.
Yeah, it's like the Dreadnought Killer. But outside of those, the newer thing that we got in was the Modern Deluxe D45. So I was like, those things are cool.
Those are pretty well. Yeah, those are great. Okay, so probably video already came out by the time this is coming out, but Heritage H575.
I was going to say, we've shot a video on that, the Custom Core H150, and I was jamming on it again the other day.
Yeah.
That's such a nice guitar.
Those, luckily, so we did the video, if you have seen it on the channel, Custom Core H150, Bourbon Burst, and Cadillac Green, both sold, I think, the day that we shot the video. We were able to get more, and one of them, which we might show on the channel, depends on what's going on. Cadillac Green, we got one more just like the video, and one more in the Artisan Age, which is kind of cool if you're into a light relic type thing. Great guitars. But the 575 is my absolute favorite right now. That guitar rocks. Also, it rocks. I love that. You could do like
thing. The radio Sunday
monster truck rally.
Just $5.
Yeah. So Heritage, that's good stuff. I think
I'm digging introducing people that come in that aren't familiar with like the Heritage stuff, and the Harmony stuff.
Yeah,
showing them a silhouette, and they're like, "This is so cool."
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we got some more of the Jupiter thin lines, kind of along those lines.
Yeah, all the Heritage Harmony stuff is great. Yesterday, which we'll probably shoot a video on, our friend Eric from Fender, the Long Rooster himself, came in and brought a custom shop that he spec'd out.
Yes.
That is just kind of something interesting. Fijian mahogany thin line Telecaster 60s telly with the direct mount zebra shawbucker. It's awesome.
Yeah, and another shawbucker in the neck, and both are splittable.
Both are splittable. Just a cool, unique guitar.
Yeah,
something that
what it is. Eric gigs all the time.
Yeah, he's the gig dog.
That's a gigging musician's guitar.
It's got all the good stuff.
That's a lightweight, extremely versatile telly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
very cool. So those two. And we got in some cool trades recently. I will say this is maybe worth conversation in a video. We're not going to do it now. This has been a long episode already. But keep it in the back of your mind because you are wary of it and I'm not. 1975 Sunburst D35.
I'm not wary of it.
But you're just like, it's cool.
I have an opinion about 70s Martins.
So let's make that a video. Let's do new D35 versus 70s D35 and talk about it. That's a cool guitar. It was original owner, original hard shell case. I don't think there's a scratch on it.
Well, it looks like it's had the work done it needed to have done.
It got a neck reset done and a setup, but other than that, it's awesome. So cool guitars. We got vids coming soon.
PRS acoustic.
Oh, well, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
PRS private stock.
Brazilian
Angelus
rosewood.
cutaway, Brazilian rosewood. Just the hidden gems. We just got the gems going on right now. So yeah, we will do videos on everything mentioned if we haven't already. But look out for new releases from Fender and Gretch and Furch, because that's the good stuff.
The one last thing I'll say about the trip for anyone who does make it out there, we stayed in a wonderful place that's kind of right around everywhere.
Yeah.
It's Barcelo Palace, Brno, and
we stayed in the Palace. Dude.
It was really nice, and I think
nice.
fairly affordable when I looked at TripAdvisor. It was like 130 euro a night. It was very, very nice place to stay, but it was also a great location. If you go there, it's not just for backstage. Jerry told us he does these tours. They do tours for school trips, and for people they do like factory tours if you go visit. So if you find yourself going to the Czech Republic, or you are now planning a trip after hearing us laud it, you should check to see what their tour schedule looks like, and if you have the chance to go, you should go. And near the factory, there's also a coffee shop and an ice cream place in that little village, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, if you're anywhere in the vicinity, it's just that whole area in Czech Republic is worth going, family or solo, whatever. But go to the factory.
Yeah,
it's pretty mind blowing. Yeah,
very cool. And hopefully, we're trying to get Peter and Yana to come here.
Yeah,
Yana, by the way, if you don't know, is the namesake for the little Janes. So it'd be very cool for her to visit. I was chatting with her the other day, so we're hopefully we can do something in the store that'd be pretty cool. So
yeah. Well, thanks for watching and listening. Thank you to Josh, as always, for making it happen, audio and video, and taking extra time.
If you need to know any fabric recommendations from Joanne's, Josh has got you back there too.
But yeah. Do you sign us off?
Okay. Well, yeah. So it's been the Fretboard Confessional. This has been our European confession. We appreciate you listening about the trip. And if you want to know more, feel free to chat either of us up. I'd love to tell you all about our trip. I didn't even talk about Paris. Paris was cool too. And
that's not work related.
We will try to keep the next episode coming quicker. So make sure that you subscribe. We should be back on Apple Podcasts here pretty soon. I do want to say that we've had an issue with Apple Podcasts, trying to get all that worked out, but you can listen to this on Spotify. And of course, just watch it on YouTube. And we'll see you again on the next episode.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.